Hey YouTube, I apologize for going so long without a video. I've been super preoccupied with work and struggled with finding time on my days off to get out content. This video will be a breakdown of the spring 2023 season. I've made a couple changes, most noticeably the popular tier being added. There's a big separation between a show very few people are going to watch and something most people will give a chance. Pointing out shows that might carry some weight throughout the season should be something I'm doing in case a fan of that anime might not have known it was airing. I also wanted to explain a bit how I select anime, since I've seen a couple comments confused with the way I go about picking out anime I want to watch. For me, figuring out if I'm going to watch something has nothing to do with how the source material is rated, the popularity of the IP, what a synopsis can tell me, or watching a trailer or teaser. In fact, I try my hardest to avoid all these things because I want to watch something without additional baggage that might influence my expectation, especially when it comes to trailers that are trying to get across the type of vibe the series will have. When deciding if I want to watch something or not, the two big factors are, is the cover image cool and do I find the name interesting? I understand this is an insane way to watch anime, let alone movies or TV shows for most people. Since I finish most of the anime I start, this system works for me, but I know a lot of people don't like sticking it out for bad animes or just average shows. Now let's get into the tier list, and at the end I'll also go over what anime I picked for my Mal Fantasy League, since it's a fun side activity to do while watching an airing season. The first anime to mention is Konosuba, that is getting a second season. I'm not that interested in this since it appears to be a side story following Megumin and Yunyun. I've really enjoyed what we've got previously, however neither of these characters I care much about outside of how they change the main group dynamic. I see this still being a popular anime for the season, and of course I will give it a shot. For my one-hit kill sister, I'm expecting this to be a bad anime, since nothing at a glance gives off the perception there is much to offer viewers, or any sort of new take on isekai. Next is the reason why Rylena ended up at the Duke's mansion. I think at this point I'm over a Otome isekai anime. After watching My Next Life as a Villainess, and I'm the villainess so I'm taming the final boss, there isn't much more this subgenre can expand upon at this point for me to watch more of it. At best this is an average show, and at worst bad. For myself this is just a complete skip. In another world with my smartphone is getting its second season after many years without one. I personally thought that this was a very trashy anime. I'll just say it's likely going to be popular but not something I have any interest in, with how mediocre it was when I watched the first season. Fans of Ranking of Kings are likely to be happy to find out there's another season for them to enjoy. The expectation for this should be that it'll be something popular from the sentiment I've seen surrounding it. I've never had the interest in watching it. I find it hard to relate with children characters, but that doesn't mean I haven't heard many great things about it from other people's view. Hell's Paradise definitely seems like something I'd be interested in, and I want to see more anime that succeed with historical stories, so I'll put this in the banger. Golden Kamuy at this point is the only standout that I felt like I actually learned something about Japan's past, so hopefully here will be some of the same. Also, if a show has a white-haired character, it's only expected that they will be a badass, so here's the hoping. Now we have the Ancient Magus Bride second season. I want to say that this will be a banger, but from what I remember the first season, it didn't feel like there was much more of a story to tell here. I did really enjoy it, so I hope it has more to offer, so I'll just leave it in potential. From first glance, My Home Hero seems like something with a lot of potential. I've oftentimes seen people support vigilante justice when someone's loved one has been hurt, so it'll be interesting to see if this anime can show viewers a glimpse into the ramifications of taking the law into one's own hands. The animation does slightly concern me, but not enough for me not to give it a chance. A Galaxy Next Door is another show that might have potential to be a good romance anime, though I'm debating whether or not I want to watch it for the same reason I skipped Ranking of Kings. Since I'm trying to do better breaking down shows in a tier list, and Heavenly Delusion is an anime that grabbed my attention. From what I saw, this definitely has potential. It gave me some major Fooly Cooly type vibes. With my limited knowledge on either, I'm thinking this will just have that sort of weird different type story to tell. I could be wrong, but I'll let the anime figure that out for me and whoever else watches it this season. Next will be Tonikawa Season 2. I don't really know why, but I've never felt this anime resonate with me. If you enjoyed it before, here's another chance to enjoy more of this type of show. And from how high up on the seasonal list it is, I expect it to be quite popular. Another anime I expect to be popular is Eden Zero's second season. I have zero interest in ever starting it after watching a bunch of Fairy Tail and thinking that was garbage. So before I get myself into too much trouble talking bad on a super popular anime, let's move on. While not my cup of tea,
Not my cup of tea.
Kizuna no Elil, something like that, is something I want to mention since I think it could be somewhat popular. I know VTubers are a really big thing nowadays, though it's not really my type of thing. But even I've heard of Kizuna Ai, who seems like will be in this anime as a teacher or in a mentor role. I'm not going to be watching it myself, I just wanted to bring it onto your radar. With that said, adding to the growing tier, Dead Mount Deathplay is something with potential. Cool cover image, check. Interesting name, check. Could this totally bomb out and be bad? For sure. I'ma just hope this reincarnation, not isekai anime, can be decent. As we quickly move on, I just wanted to mention another season of Birdie Wing, since there seems to be a couple or so fans of it just going off hearing about it. For me, it's an instant skip since I don't do sports anime. I just hope it doesn't end up delayed again for those of you that are fans. I'll just go ahead and throw Otaku Elf into the potential section since I'm getting Konohana Kitan vibes from it. Doesn't mean that'll be the case, but I hope for something similar, and that's why I'm hoping it does have potential. It's been a while since anything's gone in any of the other tiers, so I'm thinking Skip and Loafer will just be an average show. I don't see anything eye-catching about it that gives me a reason to think it'll be better than that. We'll just have to see. The Legendary Hero is Dead looks to be another bad anime, and the teaser had moments that reminded me of something from Winter called Fruit of Evolution, which triggered me a lot. I don't even think a cool white-haired main character can save it. Next is obviously the most popular anime that'll be this season, and that's Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village arc. I'm expecting this to be a banger, but I'll lightly caveat this. Lightly so the rabid fans don't tear me limb from limb. Demon Slayer isn't exactly one of my favorites, and it being structured like an early 2000s shonen is annoying in the current times to say the least. I still think this is one of the better anime of the past 5 years, and is a good palate cleanser after all the mid-isekai I'll find myself watching this season. Moving on to what I can only expect to be another bad isekai Demon Slayer will help me get over, and that's the Aristocrat's Otherworldly Adventure. This just seems like another knockoff of things like Wise Man's Grandchild or The Eighth Son Are You Kidding Me, which also lacked any sort of substance to them. I don't really find anything appealing about these shows, and this one I don't see much saving it. Now, Insomniacs After School could potentially be a really solid romance anime. The cover art seems chill and the title is somewhat funny to me. I'm intrigued by what type of story can be told here as well as the impact Insomnia can have on it, so let's give it a chance and hope for the best. I feel like I've been bullying isekai for most of the list, so we'll say Summon to Another World for a second time will be an average anime. The floor at face value doesn't seem as low as the other isekai, and hopefully the re-isekai of the MC can be used in an interesting way. Or would this be considered isekai? At this point, I don't know. Alright, for the next two, I'm gonna take a risk and drop them into bangers. I'm going to gamble that my love story with Yamada-kun at level 999 is going to be a banger that pulls off what Recovery of an MMO Junkie failed to do, which is a great video gamer romance story. We can't always be safe with our choices, but I'd honestly really like to see this type of story succeed. I think there's an interesting enough concept here from the synopsis with our main girl getting cheated on by an in-game girl, which if you've ever played MMOs 9 times out of 10 was another guy. I don't know how they're gonna tackle it in the anime, but it'd be interesting if that was a premise. For the second one, I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world too. This is a risk that probably won't pay off, but the cover art looks super cool to me. Actually, I think I'll take it back. I was curious about the studio making it and what they've done in the past, and I saw 2016 Berserk. With the most shareability possible, this anime goes straight to average, as anything related to that adaptation of Berserk is straight trash. Now you might have noticed I skipped over one when I was previously doing the other two, and that's because I wanted to take a quick moment to hate. Why does Sorceress, Stabber, Orphan keep getting seasons? It sucked 2 seasons ago, and there was no room there for improvement. So how do they think a 4th season will change that magically? Straight to the skip tier you go, and if you dare make me hate on this show again in another season, I'll create a shouldn't exist tier especially for you. With that out of the way, let's move on to Mashle, something I've heard many positives about. Dropping it into bangers, I'll do what I very rarely do and put my trust into the hands of somebody else's opinions. My expectations is that Mashle will be funny. Outside of that, I'm not expecting too much. Finishing up the bad tier, let's go with Kamikatsu. There was a scene in the teaser that got my hopes up that there might be more to this, but I just don't see how an Ichi can deliver an amazing anime, and that's unfortunately why it just gets dropped down into the bad tier. At this point in time, anything dealing with idols hasn't been enjoyable, so while I see there's tons of interest around it and its manga, Oshi no Koi falls into that same vein for me. The bright colors in the cover art and trailers are also super unappealing for me. This is likely to be a popular anime, so I'll drop it there, but if I end up watching it, I'm not so convinced that it's something for me. Then we have Dr. Stone New World, which will be the third season and no doubt will be quite popular. I found myself being bored towards the end of the first season and barely made it into starting the second season. It's a fine enough concept, so I get why people enjoy it. However, I don't appreciate when a show thinks I'm too dumb to follow along and feels the need to explain everything to me. It feels degrading and tells me that either the mangaka or anime producer don't have enough faith in their story without the extra need for explanations, or actually believe the consumer is stupid, and that's why I've given up on this anime. Ending the tier list, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the new addition to the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, The Witch from Mercury, which will air its second season. Out of all the Gundam series I've watched, this has to be the worst one, but by anime standards is still a solid show. The problem for me is I've never got the shared feeling I've had from all the other ones, the vastness of space. We aren't really going anywhere, and for the most part the story has felt very tight without the deviations that would usually take us to other planets or space stations. The Witch from Mercury at its best is Minarine and Solita's mother navigating the complicated politics of the Benneret group, and then the rest of the time is just okay. I don't really have the expectation this will be something popular just going off of the first season and its reception, and the window for potential has already passed. I will be watching to see how the story goes, and all I can say for it is that I hope this anime gets that Gundam feel in the second season. Since we finished up the tier list, here's what I expect to dominate the season, which somewhat aligns with what I talked about in the list. A couple of risky picks that I'm guessing will be big, even if I don't consider them to be great shows. And the reason why something like Demon Slayer's newest season isn't on this list is because it's significantly higher in popularity than other shows. If you didn't know about this and missed out on the spring one, following previous trends, there should be one of these in the fall to make guesses on. It's a fun way to have additional engagement with the seasonal anime if that's your sort of thing. That's going to be the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like to push it into the algorithm and also to show your support. If you disagree with a certain take on one of the anime, let me know what I got wrong about it and why I should give it a chance. Spoiler free, of course. Otherwise, let me know what you thought about the video and I'll see you in the next one.